He says it worked because the Saints took advantage of the over-pursuit of the Raiders.
We stepped outside, he committed outside, guard went up on him, and hit the ball inside, got tackled, bounced it outside. So it's one of those freaky plays where you go the opposite way and make something good happen. And but in this case, I did go the right way, and I just went outside. There was one defender, which is Fellows, and I was able to get him off my shoulder, go to the end zone for a touchdown.
When Bo was out of there, it obviously made a difference.
Yeah, that helped us. He came out early and made some big runs on us, and I'm sure everyone was somewhat concerned. But, when he went out, I'm sure it changed their game plan somewhat.
We struggled a little bit in the first half today, I thought, both offensively and defensively, but we played hard. It wasn't from a lack of effort. We just weren't quite hitting on all cylinders in the first half. But we played hard, and we were able to keep it close, and we came out in the second half and played much, much better, both offensively and defensively, and were able to win the football game.
All right, the leading tackler for the referees, Rex Stewart, the umpire, in case you missed it. Watch this first quarter. Lonzel Hill is moving upfield here, trying to find a place to run, and wipes out the official. He was all right, stayed in the game. Then in the second quarter, this is Marcus Allen trying to find room, and Rex Stewart again is in the way. The Saints go to tackle him. There's a pile up. I shouldn't laugh because the guy was taken out of the game. I mean, he was actually hurting. He did leave for a couple of series. He returned. Last we heard he was taking up basket weaving or something like that, but he was okay and didn't dare to throw a flag the rest of the game. All right, they slugged it out through the first 30 minutes of play. Morton Anderson had a 51-yard field goal, and Jay Schrader completed one of his rare passes on the day. This one going to Mervin Fernandez in man coverage. He faked out Brett Maxey after the catch and went 85 yards for LA's only score and only lead in the game. Bo Jackson carried twice for the Raiders to open up the game, picking up 45 yards, but then he left with a sore hamstring.
Wish I could have been out there today because I'm not trying to take anything from the Saints, but and I'm not trying to say that I would have been the difference. But the first couple of plays that we ran, they weren't getting on the corners fast enough, and we would have gave them a run more than money.
The payoff for the Saints was their defense. Antonio Gibson was back and with a vengeance. He scooped this Marcus Allen fumble, had 5 tackles, and added a sack.
We blitzed a lot, and we tried to change our blitzes up to the point where we were sending a lot of different people. They would send me on a couple of plays. They would send Van Jakes, then they would send Rick, and pass Willing. It was just a thing where we tried to throw them off a lot.
They were thrown off all right. Schrader completed just 5 of 20 passes before being benched, and Steve Berline couldn't do much better. Ricky Jackson had this pickoff and led all tacklers with 8, but he wanted the shutout.
And they got lucky and got in the end zone, but I was looking for the day to be a goose egg day. Everybody else was a little disappointed because we didn't, but we really thought the day was our day for a goose egg. I think everybody came in the game thinking that.
What made you, just the way the defense was playing, the kind of team?
Well, you can see we was a little better than them. Yeah. You can look at their offense, and you can see our defense better than their offense. And at just point blank, they didn't have no business doing as much as they did do.
The commitment to excellence belonged to the black and gold instead of the black and silver on this day. The Mora motto last year, remember, was coulda, woulda, shoulda. This year, it's whatever it takes. Each week, it seems, the heroes change, but the results for the Saints stay the same.
We're playing well as a team where, the offense has played well at times and the defense might have been a little down. Where you look at today, the defense played great, they dominated. We were a little off kilter at times, and you look last week, the special teams make a big play against Seattle. So I think you need to do well in all phases of the game, and you'll be in the hunt towards the end of the season for the playoffs.
One, especially one who covers the team on a day-to-day basis, day in, day out, is entitled to his or her opinion. Beat writer Jimmy Smith's inside commentary may have gone a bit overboard, as Joe Amato reports.
Smith suggested that Jim Mora was to blame for Stan Brock's season-ending injury. The Times-Picayune writer saying to lose a player of Brock's caliber in practice is inexcusable. Brock went down Thursday in what was a long practice. Some of the Saints were grumbling when they came off the field that day. This morning, the team was buzzing about what they read Brock said this to WWL Radio.
For Jimmy Smith to write an article saying that it's Coach Mora's fault I got hurt is the worst thing that I think could happen to this team. Coach Mora feels bad about what happened, and I personally think that it was just a matter of timing, you know, it was bad luck.
Smith also wrote that Mora needed to loosen up and learn to pull the reins in practice.
We're going to have tough practices on Wednesday and Thursday. Everybody knows that, but I have no complaints, and we're 7-1 right now. I think that speaks for itself.
Brock was on hand for the national anthem today, then went home to watch the game. It was clear he was annoyed with what he read.
I think that Jimmy Smith has a personal thing with some of the players and some of the coaches, and he likes to lash out with his power of his pen. I think that he's very wrong in what he's saying. He's clueless as to what it takes to win football games.
Today, the Saints won their 7th game of 1988 and had the NFL's longest winning streak. Good enough, say the fans.
Yeah, he's got the right amount of discipline, he's organized, and the players respond, and that's what's important.
You think he's too tough?
No, he needs to be tough. You got to be tough to win in this league.
Mora was not asked about this after the game, and Smith had no comment. Joe Amato, 4th down on 4.
All right, and tonight we derive our telephone question from that story. We've all heard about Jim Mora's long and rigorous practices, about how he works his team hard in training camp, and he's a disciplinarian, a stickler for details. And what we want to I laugh because whenever you bring up his Marine background, he doesn't even want to talk about it, but that obviously influences his approach. What we want to know is what you think about his thing. We know. What do you think, though?
Well, you know, he's tough, and but I think it's been good for us. You know, ever since I came here as a rookie, he's been the same. He hasn't changed one bit, and that's what I expected, and that's what that's the way it's been. So,
do you think it's important for a coach? And you've played college ball at different levels to be a discipline, to have that kind of firm hold on things, leadership, disciplinarian type.
I think it's important to establish yourself, and that's what he's done. And he's came out and said it's going to be this way, and if you don't like it, go someplace else. And so, you know, it's tough, but I think it's helped us a lot.
Are the practices tougher than the normal, tougher than what you expected this late in the season as opposed to training camp?
It's been pretty well the same as far as camp and during the season. You know, on Wednesdays and Thursdays are our big practices, and you know, we have team scally and team pass and all that kind of stuff. But it's more from a realistic point of view, where it's a lot of live things that we may see on the game on Sunday. So I don't see where it's too tough for us.
So,
this part.
Yeah, and this isn't too bad either. Here's R.Mayes on the catch, a 25-yard pickup, and this led to Dalton's touchdown.
Yeah, well, it's something we worked on during the week. It was a play design for the Raiders, and basically I just ran out and tried to beat the linebacker, and Bobby threw a real good pass, and I just jumped up and caught it. I've been working on that all week, and caught it. And
that's something, something in training camp you said you wanted to improve on.
As every weeknight on 6 News, Terry Wood tells people everything they need to know.
Know where you are, John?
No, but Terry Wood.
He's okay.
So they assume he knows just about everything.
You know how to fix this thing. No. But Terry Wood.
Terry Wood, weeknights on 6 News.
I'm a fanatic on performance. If we have a running back who can also throw a good block, hey, that's one valuable player. And that's the same value I see in the electric heat pump. One unit that both heats in the winter and cools in the summer. The Mora home has a heat pump. To me, it's the most logical option. But then, I have this thing about performance.
For more information on heat pumps, call this toll-free number.
Especially marked chunky lids, and you could win this year's chunky sweepstakes, $500,000 worth of prizes, including a trip to be an honorary coach at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii.
They're not getting my job without a struggle.
Campbell's Chunky. It takes care of the meanest appetites.
A 1, and a 2, and a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. All these companies are like Blackbird Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. I'll root for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a shame. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Big, strong guy. He was an Indian. He was known for just staying in the pocket no matter what was going on around him.
He run the football, and today against Tampa Bay, the plan worked. Just as they did last week against Cincinnati, the Saints controlled the ball on the ground, and the star of the game for the second week in a row, ladies and gentlemen, Craig Ironhead Hayward. Let's go to the Dome and check out the highlights. The Bucs scored on their first drive, using up over 10 minutes before Chris Chandler took it in himself. The flying leap over Toy Cook. Watch this for the touchdown. Nicely done. The flying Walendas may want to talk to him. They led 7-0, but then Head took over. He ran this one 18 yards, trashing people as he goes for a first down, and that set up the Saints' first score. Steve Walsh to Brett Perryman over the middle. Touchdown, 26 yards. Saints tied it up at 7 in the second quarter. When the Saints got it again, Hayward took it on himself. This one, he burst into the open, just pushing defenders out of the way. This is the way it's supposed to be done. 47 yards for the touchdown. The Saints had the lead for good, 14-7. Third quarter now, it's more of the same. Hayward, the more he gets the ball, the better he gets. This one goes for 16 yards as nobody can stop him. Put the Saints in good position. They scored it when R.Mayes around left end into the end zone. 21-7 Saints. Tampa Bay then put Vinny Testaverde in the game as the Saints defense was shutting down Chandler, but they did the same to Vinny. Sack time, Swilling, and Ronaldo Turnbull there to recover the fumble. The Head then got the touchdown, number 2. 155 yards on 20 carries today. That put it out of reach at 28-7, but they weren't finished yet. I mentioned the defense played well. They got into the act here. Toy Cook picked off Vinny T and went 53 yards down inside the 5-yard line. That set up another short Mayes score, and the final read, Saints 35, Bucs 7. Win number 2 in a row for the Saints. And after, Ron Swoboda got these comments from the locker room.
You know, we're running the ball good, and that helps everybody. It helps offense, it helps defense, it helps everything. And second week in a row that we've been able to do that. Need to give credit where credit is due, and we run the football well, and that's to the people doing the blocking. That I thought that both Craig and Rube ran well, especially Craig today.
I know what I'm capable of doing, and if I'm in the game, long enough to feel out what's going on, I'm going to be productive. And so last week I got it 19 times. I don't know how many times I got it today, but successful as far as running the ball.
Steve Walsh was only 7 of 13 for 84 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He certainly isn't overworking the statistician, but when you grind it out like the way the Saints have done the last 2 games, you don't need a big game from the quarterback. We'll have more on News 8 tonight at 10 o'clock and on the Jim Mora Show, 7:30 on Channel 8 tomorrow.
Craig Hayward's gone from a drafting mistake to a star, scoring twice and running over Tampa Bay for 155 yards. So it wasn't a fluke last week, leading the Saints to a 35-7 romp over those trampled Bucs. If Ironhead looks a lot quicker, he's reportedly down to 259, and what he's done in 2 weeks is carry the Saints on his back into the playoff hunt. Ironhead just wanted a chance to run the ball. Against the Bucs, it looked like he would never get it. Tampa Bay runs off the first 10-16 of the game to score. Chris Chandler here, the quarterback, who started. Remember, Testaverde was benched. Chandler got in 12 yards, and the Saints were down 7-0. But then Ironhead, who had those 155 yards on 20 carries, just ran so determinedly and got the Saints in close. Steve Walsh, who threw sparingly, found Brett Perryman, his ex-Miami teammate, up the middle, a 26-yard touchdown. At 5:30 of the first quarter, it was tied at 7. The weight not an issue. How he plays is, and he was playing very well today. Here's Ironhead on the play of the game. 47-yard touchdown run. Harry Hamilton is stiffed arm, can't get him. Hayward is into the end zone, and the Saints led 14-7 at the half. In the third quarter, the Ironhead went to work again. Saints continue to hand him the ball, and he shows those nimble feet, moves in through the secondary, sets up R.Mayes for a touchdown. Saints were in front and moving away with this football game by a count of 21-7. Then Chris Chandler was out with a concussion, so Vinny Testaverde was in. He was sacked by Pat Swilling, who had 4 sacks on the day. Ronaldo Turnbull would recover, and the Saints had another touchdown from Ironhead Hayward. He bounces off the pile, gets in from 2 yards out, and the Saints had a 28-7 lead. And for a little icing, how about Testaverde, a man who has been picked off so miserably lately? Remember, he started the 1990 regular season so well. Toy Cook steals it, sets up another Reuben score. Jim Mora got the wash-down job here, and the Saints got the victory. Steve Walsh threw only 13 times, and that was plenty today, 35-7 Saints. The Saints have scored 56 points in the last 2 weeks. Giving up only 14, did Jim Mora make a mistake evaluating Ironhead?
You know, this is the best he's run now in the consistently for 2 games in the 2.5 years that he's been here. He hadn't run like this before, so yes, a little bit of a surprise. I'm glad that I'm surprised.
You know, you got to go by their rules. You know, they're the lawmakers, and we got to abide by their law. You know, we got to run the plays that they want to be ran out there, and so you know, you can't get upset because they're not running your play.
Well, based on last week, you think we didn't prepare for it?
I'm saying,
that would have been pretty stupid. Would it not have? Yeah, I take offense to that question.
No, I'm
you damn right we prepared for it.
I'm not trying to offend you, Coach. I'm just saying a guy that had not played well.
Whether you wanted to or not, you did.
Don't blame the loss on me, Coach.
I'm not. No, we did prepare for him, yes. But he's just a great back.
Okay. That's all I ask you, Coach.
Look at all of that going.
Well, guys, as you might imagine, man, there is a lot to putting on Monday Night Football. But fortunately, I had a chance to take an inside look. When ABC comes to town, they come prepared. 3 complete production trucks. Ballpark figure, $15 to $20 million. More than 50 production people, cameramen, engineers, tape operators, all just to put on a 3-hour show. Monday Night Football actually starts on Saturday afternoon, and that's when the production trucks arrive and they start setting up for the game.
Warp 5, Scotty. We need warp 5. I'm doing the best I can, Captain.
Slow it down. Freeze, Duper. The engineers work on the equipment. Lots of equipment.
Is there anything you can do to mount that on camera 3?
Then there's the cable. Literally 20,000 feet of cable is required to power Monday Night Football. The technicians set up the announcer's booth. The control board is like something out of Star Wars. But the work that goes into this show is very real.
Bring all the cameras, all the monitors we need, cabling, extra cabling if we need it. You know, microphones, RF microphones, a whole slew of various and sundry doodads.
Monday is game day. Equipment is put in place. The production meeting with director Craig Janoff is a must. The men responsible for the shots you see at night actually start their job that day. The cameramen have their own game plan to follow. They're placed throughout the stadium. In the end zones, in the press box. They've got cameras on wheels, and they've got cameramen who probably need wheels. It all equals up to the best crew in the business.
Well, they're talented, number one, or they wouldn't be here. I mean, they're the best cameramen, the best tape people, and the best production people. It's not to say there aren't other people at the network that are quite competent. They are, but this is a group of very, very strong people.
The announcers have changed over the 20 years of Monday Night Football, but make no mistake, they're still the real stars of the show. Frank Gifford arrives by limousine first. He's in early to work on his open for the broadcast. Right behind in their limousine are Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. They all head right to the booth, and each goes through his own preparation. Al Michaels is meticulous about his copy.
Former Falcon Gerald Riggs may be the man to run the Skins famed counter-trap. Counter-trap.
Dan Deerdorf goes over his notes before the game, and Frank Gifford records his pregame open.
A miserable season the year before, but 6 straight victories at the start of last year, and everyone was watching Cincinnati. Take it back, check it.
After all the days, the hours of preparation, all the hard work that goes into the show, it's finally time for that familiar open that you've heard for the last 20 years.
The following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
First-class people.
Teams in the 20 years of Monday Night Football, including brief appearances by Keith Jackson, Alex Karras, Fran Tarkington, O.J. Simpson, and Joe Namath. But the thread that runs through all but the first Monday Night crew is Frank Gifford. A former Hall of Fame halfback with the New York Giants, Giff was on the golf course with Roone Arledge, then head of ABC Sports, when he popped the question.
He said, "What do you think about Monday Night Football?"
And I said, I think it's a great idea. And he said, what do you think about Howard Cosell? I think it's a terrible idea. And we talked a little more about it, and he asked me if I would be available to do it. And I told him I had 1 more year under contract to CBS, but I suggested that he talk to a guy named Don Meredith, which he did the following day, and the rest of us all kind of history.
After lights, the party's over.
Still the most famous and familiar combination was Frank as the referee between Dandy Don Meredith and Howard Cosell.
I don't know that it worked any better. It just got a lot more noise, and a lot more people were involved in it because Howard, let's face it, was a lightning rod, and Don was a good old country boy that knew how to spark that lightning rod. People thought that they were fighting. They thought Don was fighting with Howard, or I was fighting with both of them, or whatever, and a lot of people wrote about it.
Cosell wrote about it himself in his mean-spirited book that came out after Howard's acrimonious departure from Monday Night Football in 1984. He even leveled some barbs at Frank, but critics abound. Even a recent USA Today column takes some shots, though Frank continues to cruise above it.
When you get into, at a certain level in whatever you do, everybody seems to know how to do it better. You attract more critics, you attract more acclaim. And somehow or other you have to, you only find it within yourself, but find an ability just to, as you put it, cruise, or maybe a better way is just to do what you do to the very best of your ability. And you're going to have the detractors, and you're going to have the people that are going to pump you up, and you shouldn't take from either one of them too much. There's nothing wrong from learning from either, or both. But cruising is not a bad way to look at it. But you can only cruise when you're really enjoying it.
The current Monday night team of Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Al Michaels is still 3 separate egos. 3 people, which can make the broadcast booth a small place.
Oh, particularly with Dan. Dan goes about 300. He's like a condominium up there. Yeah, it can be, but if you look at it another way, we have a very different audience than a Sunday audience in pro football. We have a lot of people that are casual lookers, and we have people that might turn the game on because the Bears are playing, or because the Saints are playing, the Rams are on, and they're not the type of people that would watch a football game on Sunday. Not a lot of them, but that is a very definite segment of our audience. And those are the people that we try not to over-inform, bore with our intelligence, our statistics. We try to blend that into the other people that make up our audience, which are you, coaches, players, the media. 3 guys can do it, I think, better. If we can stay out of the way of the good games, when the thing goes south somewhere along the line, like many of them do, 3 guys could handle that better than 2.
So on this 20th anniversary, how does Gifford relate to Monday Night Football?
I don't claim to have any, to have created it, and we have had a couple of people that thought they did over the years, I think, but what it really is a reflection of the growth of pro football, which I feel also a part of, and the continued interest in that growth of pro football. And it's kind of fun to sit up there. I have a great seat, 50-yard line, and about every other game is a real good game.
Be easy pickings for the Eagles, coming off a strong effort last week where they intercepted Jim Kelly 3 times and shut the Bills' attack down.
Pickoff. Interception by Brett Maxey. Our DBs are going to be as ready as they can be. I mean, they don't need that kind of thing to get ready.
Well, I think we'll be crazy if we don't just go ahead and throw every down.
That means more interceptions for us, more breakups, and it gives us a chance to turn the ball over for the offense.
And the Saints may have found more than just a pass defense in the Bills game last week. They also discovered a quarterback in hometown hero John Fourcade.
We'll have a lot of friends here, a lot of family, relatives. Everybody's going to be here to cheer me on and pull for the Saints, and hopefully we can upset these guys on Monday night. But I can't worry about all that. I got to worry about the Philadelphia Eagles.
The coach just said he runs like 4.640, so he can run pretty well scramble-wise.
They'll protect me. I'll throw the ball on some quick drops and some quick throws. So hopefully the guys protect me and we can do well.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd like to believe that John Fourcade can make a difference in this game, but I'm going to have a hard time picking against the Philadelphia Eagles. They need it so badly.
I hate to go with you, Ron, but I got you. I think you're right. The Eagles, Randall Cunningham. I think Randall Cunningham's going to make the difference tomorrow night.
I don't know. Sold-out Superdome, John Fourcade running around, good Saints defense. Hopefully the pass defense can come around. I say the Saints may do it, guys.
Guy, I hope you're right.
I hope so.
Well, we are happy to say that we can bring it to you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock right here on Channel 8. That's the kickoff time, thanks to Al Copeland and Popeyes. And we want to thank you for joining us for the past half hour. We hope it's been some insight into Monday Night Football and the way Monday Night Football works and why it is such a special broadcast. It's been a great 20 years. We're looking to 20 more, believe it or not. So from all of us here at Channel 8, Lionel and Jim, I'm Ron Swoboda. Thank you for watching.
Get ready, make everything right, 'cause Monday Night Football's coming on tonight. Hey, are you a big fan? Hey, do you want to party? We got Frank and Al and Dan ready to get this thing started. They got the teams on the field and they turned up the lights, and all my rowdy friends are here for Monday Night football, that is. When those red-hot teams play under the lights, those X's and O's just seem to ignite. Now I know some guys that are ready to blitz, and some big old dudes will be taking their licks. I bet they're cheering like we are all over the land, jumping up and down like the fans in the stands. Nobody does a football like an ABC. Why, it's the only game for people like me. Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party!
This is the New Orleans that draws visitors from around the world. Jazz, the French Quarter, Cajun cooking, and Mardi Gras. Hi, I'm Sam Mills of the New Orleans Saints, and this is my family. And as a volunteer for the United Way, I've seen how your contributions have helped many people here in New Orleans. Tammy's story could be the story of any teenager today.
My freshman year in high school, I found myself thinking that maybe life wasn't worth living. There's so many pressures on you, and many times you don't know which way to turn. But I found out through the United Way and this counseling program that it really wasn't worth it to end my life to suicide, and that there was something to live for. And I realized that there are a lot of people out there who really care.
United Way. It brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
Singletary and Vision playing middle.
Saint offensive coordinator Dan Abramowicz knows that to be a good coach, you have to be part teacher, part preacher. To be a good Christian requires the same attributes, he feels. Danny Abramowicz thinks he's a good coach. He knows he's a good Christian.
If God can work in my life, anybody has a chance. Anybody. I am and was a big-time sinner.
In 1967, with the first New Orleans Saints team, Danny Abramowicz hit football's big time. He made the club as a 17th round draft choice who refused to be cut. In a 7-year career with the Saints, Abramowicz caught 309 passes. He moved as slowly as a New Orleans summer, but he had good hands and a great heart. He would never tell himself, no, you can't. That made him the player he was. It nearly destroyed the person he would become.
Leave it to the Lord and wait for him, and then he will bless us. Thank you. Amen. Thank you.
The television brings some men together on Monday nights during the football season. The Lord convenes these men, a prayer group called the Monday Night Disciples that Danny initiated.
Called 12 guys. Just names came up, different people that I had met in that period of time in the beginning walk with the Lord. And if anyone's been in sales, know when you make 12 calls, normally if you can get 3 people to respond to it, you're pretty lucky. But all 12 of them responded, and they showed up at my house.
Soon over 90 were meeting there weekly, and more spacious quarters had to be found. Not many come and go. Most come and stay. You don't get the cure here, you get the prescription. It's up to you to use as directed. Danny began getting the cure in 1981 when he finally faced a long-standing drinking problem. After making a particularly embarrassing spectacle of himself at a Saints party, he awoke the morning of December 15th that year. Through eyes reddened by alcohol, he finally saw with clarity what he'd become.
I finally looked in the mirror. I was going to shave. And I looked in there and I said, I hate this person. If life is like this, then life's not worth it.
Joining Alcoholics Anonymous as a result left him sober, though not serene. He went to a prayer group and found himself described in a lecture about the 3 types of relationships with God.
The second one was where I really was back in '81, where the Lord was in my life, but the center of my life was, say, booze and ego. My family, my job, my God revolved around me.
He vowed to change, but the drinking had taken a toll on his reputation and his self-esteem. As he ushered bad habits out of one door in his life, bad financial luck came in the other.
Kids in school, kids were going to Jesuit, that's, all that kind of stuff. The bank was closing in on me. And it's all my fault. It's not their fault. They was just doing what they had to do.
It's 15 years ago now, not long enough to forget.
I was in a job I didn't know anything about insurance, or I don't know what I was doing. But I had $500 left in my name. And my wife came out and sat down with me.
Claudia Abramowicz said the Lord would provide that day. The very next day, Danny got a call to join an oil field company that got him back on his feet financially. He left it in 1989 to return to coaching, first at Jesuit, then with the Chicago Bears. There he met Reverend Peter Armenio, and he became an even more aggressive salesman for a different kind of life insurance.
We're a duo with the Bears. He would do the spade work and bring people to me, and I would kind of put the finishing touches. But he would always do the groundwork and bring people to me. Once I think I told him, slow down, Dan, and Dan said, listen, you do your job, I'll do mine.
I'm a compulsive person. When I drank a lot. When I smoked a lot. When I changed,
hit the streets,
you hit the streets a lot. When I changed a lot.
Now Danny helps others do the same. Self-discovery can be an acutely painful process, but you don't have to go through it alone. They are here to help. He is always there.
It's a funny door that leads to the heart. It only has one doorknob, and it's on the inside, and we have to open it up and allow him to come in. If he can do it with my life, anybody has a chance.
Shreveport, hard on the heels of the Red River. Tonight, the NFL comes to northern Louisiana. The Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints going head-to-head in the battle on the border. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Gallagher, and all of us here at WVUE Fox 8 are excited about tonight's exclusive live broadcast of this Saints-Cowboys scrimmage. After watching the Saints and the Packers the other night, believe me, I can tell you one thing. The New Orleans Saints are going to be fired up for this game this evening here in Shreveport. Let me introduce my broadcast partner to you tonight, a guy known to a lot of fans in northern Louisiana and southern Louisiana as the Cajun Cannon. From 1985 to 1992, he was the New Orleans Saints starting quarterback. In fact, he is the winningest quarterback in New Orleans Saints history. led this team to 3 of its 4 playoff appearances. Joining me now, Bobby Hebert, the Cajun Cannon. And Bobby, since you're here with me tonight, there's no truth to the rumor that you'll be suiting up this evening.
No, I don't believe, Jim. It's too an ideal situation I got going here with you. And besides, I wouldn't like to be out there right now getting beat up.
You and I had a chance to talk to Mike Ditka about this scrimmage. He is taking this very seriously tonight, isn't he?
Oh, this is a game-like situation. You can have guys that are going to make or break their situation as far as making the team today. And same thing with the Cowboys. Both teams have gotten off to slow starts in the preseason, so this is very important for both teams.
You had a chance to meet Mike Ditka. What are your thoughts on him as a head coach?
Well, he's the type of coach that I would have loved to play for. You know, he's the old school, and that's the type of player I was, you know, just working hard and getting things done, and I think he's ideal for New Orleans.
Now, we've got a lot coming up for you in the next couple hours. First game in Shreveport, second play of the scrimmage between the Saints and the Dallas Cowboys. Billy Joe Hobert hands off to Lamar Smith. In the starting backfield, he breaks a couple of tackles and takes it outside. Now, we did miss the first play of the scrimmage. We want to bring it back to you and give you an idea what you missed. The first play of the scrimmage, Billy Joe Hobert goes deep down the right sideline to Andre Hastings. That was a pass interference call, so that's why we've got the ball down this far. Let's start the Saints starting offensive line. William Roaf, Isaac Davis, Andy McCullum in at center. Right guard is Chris Nioli, and at right tackle is Clarence Jones. Your backs and receivers, Aaron Craver and Ray Zellers. Right now, though, Lamar Smith is in the backfield. Billy Joe Hobert with the handoff to Lamar Smith. He kicks it to the outside, breaks the tackle, and takes it to the outside and picks up a gain of about 5 yards to the outside. Hobert back to pass this time, and he gets a big rush, ducks underneath it, hits the complete pass to his tight end, number 47, Josh Wilcox, for the touchdown for the New Orleans Saints.
Good job. Yeah, that was a great play, just Billy Joe stepping up.
Play, Bobby.
There you go.
He wouldn't have got me, would he? He wouldn't have got me, would he? Oh, man.
He wants to check with that referee, see if he got the sack. You getting hits like that when you played, Bobby?
It's a back beat, and I think Coach Dick was upset with that because he makes a good throw and he could have had a big play.
I didn't see a lick of it.
All you want to do is keep going and then control your speed. If he's going to run into you, control your speed, but keep your body between him and the ball.
All right. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Hey.
Yeah, you heard Billy Joe there. He could.
Checking me punt. I didn't know if you wanted me to check out of that or not. I wanted to check to a pass.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Oh, man. They're playing off coverage with everybody up. As a gimme. So, man, I'll tell you what. I wasn't sure what the parameters were of this this little scrimmage here. I wanted to check out of 2 of those plays. If I turned left, I would have never even done the play fake with that safety coming up. You're the guy. You got to call that.
We're getting fall along. You do it.
All right, good. Fine. That's all you have to say.
I don't. You and I talking. Don't ever be afraid of an athlete over here. I don't care who it is.
Who's that?
Now listen to me carefully. I'm just talking.
Back up.
Because sometimes, and I know you're not that kind of guy.
That's Billy Joe Hobert talking to offensive coordinator Danny Abramowicz.
Yeah. Did we have one open over there?
Oh. That brings up a 2nd and 14 situation for the Dallas Cowboys and their quarterback Troy Aikman. He hands the ball from the middle, little draw play to Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt's got some room to run. Smith breaks it to the middle, and it is on a foot race. He is brought down from behind by Tyrone Drake for number 22. Big hole, though, for Emmitt Smith.
That looked like it.
Richie Cunningham attempting a 29-yard field goal for the Dallas Cowboys, and it is good.
It happened.
All right, play action pass by Werfel, sprint out pass. Pass is attempted to go to number 34, Ray Zellers, but that is incomplete, and Ray almost gets his head taken off.
Yeah, that was pretty good coverage.
I'm going to tell you a couple plays here on the next series.
What do you got? What do we run? 9 plays. I don't like what we're doing. I'll be honest with you. I don't like anything we're doing. Give me 12 personnel. Give me 12 personnel. Take 30, 55 jet. That's what I want. 12. 30, 55 jet. I want to push the ball down the field. I'm not embarrassing you.
Let's do it down the field 3 times. Are you embarrassed?
All right, Mike Ditka and Danny Abramowicz. And
you got to get the mustard on that out pattern. And, you know, Coach Ditka, he's a competitor. He's saying we wanted to run a jet type pattern, so you knew he was going to push the ball down the field.
You had to naked right now. You had to naked right now. Immediately. I mean, I can't tell, but he was wide open immediately. The naked. That one before? No, the naked, the first one. That's all. When you had the 9 route, you got to throw the ball right now. You had 93. So throw the ball to the outside guy right now. He beat him. You're not going to get any more than that. Just let it up. You got man to man. You're not going to get any better than man to man.
Jim, you can see Coach Ditka.
For the New Orleans Saints now on offense. This was the first play just moments ago of the scrimmage. Gunnar Twiner on the reverse, picks up 36 yards for the Saints. And now just a moment ago, let's immediately jump onto the third play. Now, now we're going to live action now. Saints with the 2nd and 5 at the 24. Jake Delhomme in at quarterback, goes across the middle to his running back, number 40, Wes Bender, out of the backfield. And that's another first down for the New Orleans Saints. All right, here in 2nd and 5, balls at the 6-yard line. Wes Bender and Troy Davis are in the backfield. Handoff goes to Davis on the left side. Breaks a tackle, takes it in for the touchdown.
Oh, Jim, that was a great run by Troy Davis there.
Said, first of all, the Andre Royal situation. We saw the blow up earlier. We saw how upset he was. But the next day he comes in that night, apologizes. And Mike Ditka, we've talked about it before. When bygones are bygones, he let it go. And Andre Royal certainly proved something tonight.
Yeah, Andre Royal's a football player. It's exactly like Coach Ditka said. He's going to make plays for the Saints. That's why they brought him here. He's definitely a force. He's a big hitter. And, you know, Coach Ditka doesn't have any hard feelings towards Andre. He knows how to respect that he shouldn't have done that. But here, you know, what Coach Dick is looking for in Royal, I think he showed tonight that he can improve on the big hits, the big plays, and I'm sure he'll do that this week against Denver.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back in just a moment to wrap it up live from Shreveport.
Put it up. You got man-to-man. You don't get any better man-to-man. Hey,
you look good.
You doing any good? Okay, I haven't watched it. I don't know.
Hey, man. God bless you. God bless you.
Man, God works in mysterious ways, man.
God bless you.
If you stop in my heart.
God bless you, man.
If today you hear his voice, harden not your heart.
Hey,
God
man. God bless you.
Okay.
Right here?
Yeah, whatever.
2 chances at 8 instead of... Well, we had enough time, you know. I wasn't able to push the offense through in the fourth quarter. Looking back on it, we can say, yeah, maybe so, but, you know, you never know. But we almost had a chance at the end still. A couple of drives we killed in the fourth quarter that we wish we could have gotten some points out of. But, you know, offensively, I think threw the ball well tonight, caught the ball well. Every quarterback and every receiver. So that's something we can build on for next week.
You look pretty confident now, and confidence got to be big for you now.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Shula, may be done for his career. You're going to be the guy. It looks like they're going to go with number 3. That says a lot about you and your confidence out there.
Well, I hope so, and I'm getting more confident every day out there. I feel I'm confident in what I'm doing, and that leads to confidence. I'm working hard, and I'm just, you know, the teams around, they support me. They see, you know, I'm working hard, trying to do the right thing. So it feels good, and hopefully, you know, I'll make it this year.
All right, big guy. Thanks a lot. Good luck again.
Wilmot Perry kind of reminds me of a fullback back in your era that played for the Saints, Kim Jones. Remember?
Yeah.
Kim Jones, great physical specimen.
Big guy. About 235, 240. Our camera can get a shot of the legs on Wilmot Perry. Those calves.
Yeah, he is really put together. 3rd and 10 from the 27.
Biggest calves I've ever seen on a running back was Paul Grandjean.
Older, right?
Yeah.
Delhomme
look out, Jake.
is in all sorts of trouble, and he's sacked back at the 42-yard line.
Today on More Than a Game, he's the home run king. But during his career, Hank Aaron was not always treated like royalty. For 23 seasons, he played under intense pressure and came out on top.
I led the league, as I always said, in everything but hotel accommodation.
He was a star running back in the National Football League until he ran into the wrong side of the law. Now, Chuck Muncie's telling young athletes how to run away from drugs and gangs.
If someone would ask me, 15 years ago, what I'd be doing today, it would not be what I'm doing today.
And how are you involved in your community? We'll find out how America's youth is answering the call next on More Than a Game.
It's more than a game.
It's more than a game.
It's more than a game.
Hi, I'm Fred Hickman, and this is More Than a Game, where we bring you stories of athletes who are making a difference in their communities. We begin, though, with the story of a man who was, for a while, running in the opposite direction. Here's More Than a Game's Janet Evans.
He went from a small town in Pennsylvania to the University of California at Berkeley, one of the nation's biggest schools, to play football. He became one of the school's greatest running backs and went on to a promising NFL career, only to stumble and fall. But while he might have been down, he was not out. His name is Chuck Muncie.
I just love the game. You know, I love the game of football. I love to play the game. I love being out there on Saturday in the blue and gold Cal Berkeley colors.
But that was only the beginning.
That led to me being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, first time in the history of Cal sports that they ever had a player on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I was runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. You know, a lot of publicity, a lot of everything was, the chips were falling perfectly.
Ironically, it was his passion for the game that ultimately brought him down.
Everybody started talking about how good I was, and you know, and you can do this, and I was being invited to so many different places and meeting so many different people, and the money started to come out, and the women started coming out, and the drugs started coming out, and I was getting involved in as many bad things and making as many bad decisions as I was performing well on the field. And so it just, it just snowballed. It just really literally snowballed until it got out of control.
And for Chuck Muncie, the free ride came to an abrupt end.
They indicted me for distribution of cocaine, and I ended up doing 2 years in federal prison. It was probably the best thing that ever could have happened to me, because during that time when I was in prison, I really had to take a look and figure out what Chuck Muncie was all about. Am I Chuck Muncie, the football player, or am I Chuck Muncie, a human being that likes to play football? And so I sort of got to know myself as Chuck Muncie, the human being. And when I came out of prison, I was asked to play football again if I wanted to go back and play, and I said no. I had really sort of figured out what I wanted to do, and that was give back to the community.
That hard look led him to the Boys and Girls Club of America and the start of a new success story.
We started out, I had 126 members when I first took over the club. Within a year, we were at 1,200. Within 2 years, we were at 1,900. I left there this past January to start the Chuck Muncie Youth Foundation, and I left there with over 3,000 members. Some of the kids we work with were in gangs. Probably 90% of them that we're after were associated somehow with a gang. The other 10% were just stupid that did some things, and that's, and they're trying to make a difference in their lives.
But making that difference was no easy task.
We had a youth employment program. And they were going, these kids were doing volunteer work at the Boys and Girls Club. They were doing whatever they felt and we felt was necessary to build up a little portfolio. Well, they were coming back on. The guy just kept looking at my arms. Guy just kept looking at my neck.
I've gone to job interviews and people just look at you, look at your tattoos, and automatically you know you're not going to be hired.
Here's a guy, 6'4", 300 pounds, and got tattoos all over. So what's he going to do? Customer service?
I got 2 little boys, 2 or 5 years old, that look up to me, and I don't want them to grow up like I grew up.
We have a 3-year-old kid. Now there's a kid that never had a chance from the beginning. Mom and Dad put the tattoos on him, when he was born. So where was this kid going to go? At that point. What was there for him the rest of his life? But to be a gangbanger. The program is called New Start, where people give people an opportunity to get a new start on their life, to get rid of some of the old tags, some of the old baggage that they were carrying along with them, and get into our program, which gives them the opportunity to make a difference in their life. We don't force anything on anybody. It's strictly a volunteer-based program where we provide free services for people. In exchange, they do volunteer services back to the community.
Each kid will put in 30 to 40 hours of community service, and the actual tattoo removal itself only takes a few minutes. So if I'm able to see 8 patients in an hour, each of whom has put in 40 hours of community service, 1 hour of my time translates into 320 hours of community service.
Prior to any services that they receive, they have to do the volunteer hours first.
We'll take your marks off. That's step 1. But also we'll give you counseling, we'll give you job training, and when you're doing your volunteer time, if you're doing it in a job thing that you may be interested in, by the time you're done with the volunteer time, you have a job that you could go and work in and get paid for.
We try to do projects within the community, such as graffiti removal, parks and recreation programs. We work with the libraries where we send people over to volunteer at a library, maybe to do reading classes for young students that come in there in the evening. It's a win-win-win all the way around.
And for Chuck Muncie, it's a whole new ballgame.
If someone would ask me, 15 years ago, what I'd be doing today, it would not be what I'm doing today.
One with its own rewards.
Scoring 21 touchdowns or leading the NFL in touchdowns ever made such an impact on me as what I'm doing now. My kids just saying thanks to me. That's like being paid $1 million bonus.
Many have followed the disastrous path down which drugs can take you. It's encouraging to see someone like Chuck Muncie who can change that path and lead others in the right direction. Well, coming up...
we need? Our own talk show.
I can see it now.
And our first guest has to be...
Interviewing the Willie and Billy Show. Today?
With the pros in the know.
Radiofone presents The Willie and Billy Show.
Today, Buddy D's our special guest.
Let's give Buddy D a taste of the pros. Take him, Willie. Oh! And here's a pro pass. Poor Buddy D.
Hey, did you guys beat me?
Nah.
Up close, he may be the best quarterback who never made it to a playoff game. Two-time Pro Bowler Archie Manning reflects on his 14-year NFL career, most of which was spent with the adventurous Saints. He'll talk about his son Peyton and his opening day performance against the Dolphins, plus his thoughts on the quarterback picked second in the draft. And does he think Denver is on its way to another Super Bowl title? Up Close is up next.
From the ESPN studios in Los Angeles, here's C.Myers.
Hi, welcome to the show. Hope you had a nice Labor Day weekend. It kind of feels like a Monday. The start of the NFL season, the start of a career for Peyton Manning, the first player, of course, selected in the NFL draft. And to talk about his performance and some of the other quarterback play, we welcome Archie Manning, former Saint quarterback and the Saint broadcaster for nearly 13 years, a dozen years or so. Nice to see you again.
Thanks, Chris. Good to see you and glad to be with you.
And we want to cover what it's like being a father in the stands watching your son play. But let me first get a thought off of Monday night's performance. John Elway at age 38. We see him outduel Drew Bledsoe once again, back for more. He's won a Super Bowl. You went through a lot over your 14-year career. He looked young out there again.
He really did. John's such a fantastic player, and he was so talented coming into the league, but he hadn't appreciated much. I'm sure the knees hurt. He maybe doesn't move. He always moved around real well and was able to make plays. But I saw him. I've seen him twice in person in the preseason this year. It looks like his arm strength is the same as ever. Of course, he was just blessed with a real strong arm. But I think he looks more comfortable as a quarterback. Sure, he doesn't run as well as he used to. I think he looks more comfortable as a quarterback now in Mike Shanahan's system than I've ever seen him before. And I thought his play last night was unbelievable because the Patriots were bringing it, and they were getting close, but he had someone open, and he was able to get it to him almost every single time. He was really the difference. He played a great game.
When he was selected #1 overall, it was also by the Colts, and he held out. Didn't want to go to Baltimore at that time. Your son Peyton chosen overall #1 with Indianapolis. Ever cross Peyton's mind about control of where he might want to go when he was figuring contract and trying to get into position there?
Well, to be truthful, Chris, there were some people, some football people, some people, agents, I think some knowledgeable agents, and just people in general who advised Peyton that he should do the same thing and try to dictate his place in the draft. And we talked about it a little bit, but Peyton didn't. He didn't want to do that. And I'm sure John would think, well, I wouldn't want him to do that unless it was a situation. In John's case, if you remember, Jack Elway's John's dad did not want him to go play for a certain coach in Baltimore. Certainly, in looking at the situation, Indianapolis is a wonderful city. I mean, I've really been so impressed there. I've known Bill Polian, I've seen what he's done in other places, and I've known Jim Mora, and I saw what he did when he came to New Orleans. And Peyton saw that, and he looked at those things and said, look, this is a start-over situation. Sure, it's probably going to be a little rough at first, but I can be part of something really starting over in a wonderful city who's hungry for a winning football team. So I still think it's a good situation.
Right, Peyton chose a #1, and of course Ryan Leaf 2. So quarterbacks go 1-2. It's only happened 4 times in NFL history. If we go way back, Bobby Garrett, Lamar Mechanic, they play for the Pharaohs. I don't know. And
I think it was the Chicago Cardinals.
Okay, there we go. And in '71, Jim Plunkett and Archie Manning chosen second out of Ole Miss, of course, going to the Saints. By the way, as you pointed out to me before the show, Dan Pastorini selected 3rd overall.
I think that was the only time there were the first 3 picks, but Dan's a good friend of mine, and he was the 3rd pick. He went to Houston that year. Jim went to New England, #1.
What kind of additional pressure comes with being chosen 1-2, whether you are the first guy like your son was or the second guy like you were?
Well, there's pressure there because there's great expectations throughout the city, the media attention. And then, usually in that situation, you're going to play early.
Because the team isn't that good there.
Sure, yeah, and that's pressure also. In the case a long time ago when Jim Plunkett and I were rookies, and Dan Pastorini, we all started opening day, just like Ryan and Peyton did this past Sunday. I think there's more pressure on Ryan and Peyton, though, than there would be in years past.
Why?
Because the game is so complex. And I saw an interview with, I think it was Brett Favre, Troy Aikman, John Elway, and I believe Cordell Stewart. It was a roundtable discussion a short time back. And they were all, I thought that, I just hadn't said it because it might sound like some premature excuse that I would make for Peyton. But they were saying they couldn't imagine being a rookie quarterback in the league today. And I think what they're talking, I know what they're talking about. They're talking about the specialization and the complexity of defenses and all the things they give you, the blitzes, the protections that quarterbacks have to know, the zone blitzes, the new things that are coming in. And I think John Elway said, he said by the end of the year, those guys are going to want to give that money back and just try to get out of there, which I think is their respect for how complex the game is now. So I think it's a tough deal for these 2 young guys.
Learning on the job. Let's look at your son Peyton and the performance against the Dolphins on Sunday. And the numbers were there: 21 of 37, 302 yards and a touchdown, but 3 interceptions in a defeat. And you were there watching. Before we talk about Peyton's performance, let's talk about what you felt in the stands as a helpless parent.
I didn't do very good. I'm a little disappointed in myself because I've been there before, and I try to be calm. I've been doing this since kid. I had 3 boys, and since they were Little League, and I've seen parents misbehave in the stands and not deal well, and I've always prided myself in kind of going into a stadium or to a Little League game or whatever in a mindset that I'm going to sit there and I'm going to watch the game.
And you've done a good job of kind of staying out of things.
I don't know what it was Sunday, but I went to Indianapolis Saturday, and I was fine. I was excited for Peyton. He was excited. But when I got in the stands, and I didn't, the network had asked me to come up and be on TV, I said no. And I didn't think about the network really having pictures of me. But I was extremely, when the game started, I was extremely nervous for Peyton, more than I'd ever been before, I think. Maybe the same way his first start at Tennessee when he was a freshman.
How about as nervous for when you went into a game as a starter? More nervous?
The same thing. I mean, I felt the same way. I think more nervous because when I looked out there, and I've been around pro football now, playing or broadcasting for 27 years, I think I know a little bit about the game. I could look out there and see how tough it was for him. It was really tough. And it was one of the things he told me after he made it fine. He really did. And I don't go around bragging on Peyton. I never have, but he did really good.
You mean handling it all?
Handling it all. He played good. He made a lot of... Again, if people know me from the past, Chris, I've never gone around bragging on my children. But I'm going to just tell you, observing from a former football player, he made decisions in that game and did things, I think, beyond his years. And I'm sure Ryan did. I understand Ryan did in his game, too. But it was tough. And the Dolphins are a good defense. They did a lot of things. And the Colts, unfortunately, weren't able to run the ball. And that always makes it tougher on a quarterback. And that's the one thing Peyton told me after the game. First pass of the game he completed, it was kind of a little slip screen type of deal. But he said after that, nothing was easy. He said everything the whole day was really hard. And quarterbacking is not always like that. I think it is when you're a rookie. It is when you're young. It is when your team is not totally on top of things. But quarterbacking, it was easy for him at Tennessee for a lot of those years.
The emotion, the happiness, just that seeing him there, making it. Can you relate that to anything you've ever done in your career, or does it supersede because you're the father here?
Well, I'm just excited for him. I'm not as involved, or have not been as involved as maybe some people think. You know, I didn't groom Peyton to be a professional quarterback. He chose to participate in sports. His mother and I, his brothers, we just supported him, and we've just just been there. I haven't. He's had good coaches in high school. He had great coaches in college, and I've tried to just be his father. But he was very excited, and I mean, we're real proud of all the things he accomplished in college and the way he dealt with that, and to be the first pick in the NFL draft is a tremendous honor. And but he's worked hard himself to be there. He's had to handle a lot of things, a lot of pressure situations. So I think maybe that's where I didn't handle it very well. I should have just been there, proud to see him out there playing. As a result, I just got really, really nervous for him, and I'm really disappointed in myself for kind of being like that.
Well, it's all right. You're a little out of practice. We're going to go back and talk about Archie Manning's playing days as well, and more on his son Peyton, and also Archie's thoughts on Ryan Leaf. We're up close with Archie Manning, who played 14 years in the NFL, and fans got to see him battle with the Saints all these years. Hang in there. We'll talk about Archie's first game when we come back. Don't go away. 1971, Archie Manning's first game in the NFL as the Saint quarterback, trailing the Rams on 4th and goal. Just 3 seconds to go. Manning calls his own number, and did he get in? The officials say yes for the game-winning touchdown, and the Saints stun the heavily favored Rams, and we're up close with Archie Manning. A lot of nerve in your first pro game to call your own number.
Well, we had been to the sideline and to get a play, but it was a chance we could kick the field goal and tie. We said, no, go for it, and the referee came and got me and said, it's time to go run the play, and they never really gave me the play, so I kind of reverted back to college. That's kind of what I did a lot of in college. It was actually a pass-run option. I think a guy was open the end zone. I, of course, was running the entire way. And I'm glad the official threw his hands up quick, because I would have felt pretty bad if it would have fumbled.
But to start a career like that in the pros, and then afterwards go 14 years in the NFL and have the label now as you're retired here for what, many years, as the best quarterback to have never played in a playoff game. How does that sit with you?
Well, you know, I had a lot of interviews last week, but for a lot of Miami people calling about my first game with Peyton's game. And they were saying that was a great way to start and everything. And a couple of them, I said, yeah, but it never got a lot better. So it was a good way to start. But we struggled a lot. We had a lot of changes, always had changes in front office, coaches,
5 different coaches
players.
With the Saints.
And it was just, you know, you've got to have it throughout the organization. And we just changed too often, too many coaches, too many players. I'm not scarred by the thing, Chris. You know, I really, like a lot of kids, I wanted to be a pro football player, and I got to do it for 14 years. I didn't enjoy losing. I didn't enjoy the struggles, but overall, I enjoyed, and I'm glad I got to play the game.
How much do you blame yourself when it's all said and done?
I don't reflect on it much. I mean, I look at things, and certainly in anything, you can look back and say, I wish I had done this different. I wish we'd have had this player. I wish this would have come through under this coach and everything, but it didn't happen. And I'm not going I've seen a lot of players, when they got out of the game, look back and they're kind of envious of people still playing. They don't have a real good attitude about it. And I just refuse to be that way. When it was over for me, and I'm glad I got to play the game.
You were a Pro Bowler a couple of years, and in '80, completing 61% of your passes, nearly 4,000 yards, and 23 touchdowns, and yet the Saints team won just one game.
Well, that was the worst of it there. The 2 years preceding that, we'd had a real productive offense. I had some really good players: Wes Chandler, Tony Garber, at the time. Chuck Muncie, Ike Harris, Henry Childs, really good play. We got a lot of points and all. We just didn't stop people. We won 7 or 8 games. We were competitive. And then in '80, big expectations, and it all fell apart. And there were a lot of problems within the team. It all went down the drain again.
I've known you for years, and of course know Peyton, and you guys are easygoing, low-key gentlemen. Does it take a certain kind of arrogance to be a successful quarterback in the NFL and in the huddle?
I think so. Maybe in looking back, that might have been something. I think at times I might have been a little too nice, or believed in the system a little too much, and all these changes that we were making. I guess, as I said, I haven't coached Peyton to be a quarterback through the years, but when he's asked me things, I've thrown that out. And I've said this when he was at Tennessee. I said, without going around being braggadocious about him, I like the way he plays the game. He takes control. It made me feel good Sunday, some of the comments from the other players, the Dolphins and the Colt players, of his presence during that game Sunday under tough conditions, you know, overcoming an interception and another interception and falling behind and getting sacked some. So, but yes, to answer your question, yes, it does take a certain arrogance, and it's got to be a control thing for the quarterback out there.
All right, we'll keep our eye on that for Peyton Manning, and we'll talk more about Peyton with Archie Manning, the father of Peyton and Eli. Peyton's brother, one of 3 sons that Archie has, who may be the next superstar quarterback in the family. Don't go away. We'll tell you about that in a moment. Third in the 1970 Heisman Trophy balloting behind Jim Plunkett and Joe Theismann. You were also the favorite, I believe, going in for an injury. How disappointed was Peyton, and what did you tell him after that?
Peyton dealt with that real good. You know, Chris, that whole year being the favorite going in, and I mean, he had a good year, but it was a unique situation with a defensive player and a great player. And I told Peyton, and he really wasn't that disappointed. I think he was so glad for it to be over. And a lot of nice things had come his way, and I told him that Peyton, you've won a lot of nice awards. You played your senior year, you stayed healthy. And I said, you know, there's going to be plenty more things. Sure enough, I think 2 weeks later he was named the winner of the Sullivan Award, which is a fantastic award. He dealt with that really good.
And I think you'd rather take the #1 overall selection in the NFL draft rather than the Heisman. Well, let's talk about the choice. We're quite removed from that, but for our audience, Archie, you became legend at Ole Miss, and I think everybody assumed that your son was going to go to Ole Miss. He had choices, a lot of choices, but chose Tennessee. How difficult was it for you to be in that position? And you actually received, there were death threats, people threatening you.
Not really death threats, just some people got really upset about it, but no one that really counted. And I just think you've got to let your children make those decisions.
And that was Peyton's call all the way.
And it was, you know, I love Ole Miss, and that school's been, and the people in Mississippi had been so good to me, and just a lot of people just assumed he just had to go there. And he just wanted to look around and
was it part of wanting to be his own guy?
I think so, and I certainly understood that. We supported, he put a lot into this recruiting thing. I mean, he didn't know where he wanted to go, and he researched a lot of schools. He made all the visits. So his mother and I knew wherever he chose was going to be the right place, because he went the full route. He put so much into it. And so some people got upset, but and I guess that, you know, I think it's great. The SEC is pretty big football. I think it's great when people love their school and feel strong about it, but he made a good choice.
All right, 2 other sons, Cooper, who played some college ball before being injured, going to be married. Congratulations to him at age 24. And Eli, who's now a senior in high school at Newman High in New Orleans, and he's receiving attention from Tennessee, Penn State, LSU, and Ole Miss. Well, are you going to be through this again?
It looks like we're going through it. We've had a little experience, and it's just the same deal, though. Eli is he's looking at these schools, and he's honored, and we're honored that the schools are interested in him. And he's got to decide where he thinks he'll be happy in college for 4 years.
And it's one thing for Peyton to have to live up to what his father did, but now Eli's going to have an older brother and his father.
Yeah, it's not really me. I think it's Peyton. He's at the same school, playing the same position. He wears the same number, and I think that is a lot of pressure, and we've been concerned about that and tried to play it down. Fortunately, Eli's got a really good attitude about it. He's kind of a laid-back kid, and he kind of does his thing. He's really, the main thing is to enjoy your senior year in high school, Chris. It's one of the best years of your life, and playing high school football, it doesn't get any better than that.
And that's something that Peyton wanted to do his senior year in college, and I couldn't help but think of you, knowing that you were going to be on the show, when Mark McGuire hit home run number 61. Of course, his father celebrating his 61st birthday and tying Roger Maris, equaling Major League Baseball history. But when his son Matt, when he came around home plate, he wanted his son there. His 10-year-old son was right there for him. And I think people wonder what it's like. You hope to be a father first, but when you're a professional athlete, whether your son wants to play athletics or not, how different is growing up for your son?
Oh, I think it's something you really have to be concerned about, especially if they're interested and they want to follow along, and what they have to deal with, you know, with teammates, or you go other places. And in Peyton's case, or my kid's case, I've been very proud of the way they dealt with it, because it's something extra there. That was a great picture, as you said, of Mark McGuire and having his child there. Just like Sunday, as I said, in Indianapolis. I didn't handle that too good, but overall I was we were very, very proud of Peyton to be in that position. Back again, I was just very nervous for him. I knew it was tough out there.
All right, we're going to take one more break here. We'll be back to wrap things up with Archie. We're going to ask him if he'll go to the next Peyton Manning game. All right, don't go away. We'll be back in a moment. an eye on Peyton through DirecTV and the NFL Sunday Ticket?
Well, I've been broadcasting, and my buddies have told me about DirecTV, NFL Sunday Ticket, where you can watch all the games and keep up with your team no matter where you are. And I feel as a rookie quarterback, too, I don't want to load him up every home game with family going up there. He needs to kind of get on with his life there. So that's what I plan to do, and it's great.
Yeah, well, you could
sit on my couch and watch the game.
Watch all the games.
Maybe I won't be as nervous as I was before.
It's great because you can get all the games and check in on all the action depending upon who's doing what. Now, if you were at home flipping around this last Sunday, you would have flipped around to see what Ryan Leaf was doing, because they'll be forever linked in history, your son and Ryan.
Well, I think for a while, and I guess, I think I know both of them pretty well, and I think they'll deal with that fine. As a parent, I think that's kind of unfortunate. Maybe it shouldn't be that way, but that's just the way it is. But I think even some people and some media people have tried to split them a little bit. But Ryan and Peyton have been together a good bit. One guy was trying to say who's going to fail, or that, and I told a guy, I said, look, I think both of them are going to be pretty good players. So I think that's the way I want to look at it, and I think they will be.
And they'll get a chance to face off during the regular season. We only have 10 seconds left, but a quick thought. We saw the Broncos last night. Are they still the team to beat when it comes to the Super Bowl?
I think they're going to defend real well. I mean, they are just as solid. And I think Mike Shanahan said he thinks they may be a better team. Their offensive line holds tight. They're a good-looking team. There's some other good ones, though, also, Chris.
Well, we'll keep an eye on all of them on DirecTV and the NFL Sunday Ticket. All right, thanks for coming by. Our best to Peyton. And come visit us again. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. I sure enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. Okay, Archie Manning, former Saint quarterback. We appreciate him being with us here on Up Close. Hope you'll join us on Wednesday. We'll talk Mark McGuire and home runs with Dave Winfield, and then Casey Martin later in the week. Thanks for watching Up Close. For Archie Manning, I'm Chris Myers in Los Angeles, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
But the years to follow bring heartache and discontent, taking their toll on the players and the fans. Now a new season awaits, the future a little brighter, and the hope that the Saints will claim their place in history. Join us on game day as the Fox 8 sports team goes one-on-one with Ditka, and the Saints face their ultimate challenge, becoming a team. Saints game day, Sunday morning at 10:30 on Fox 8.
Football player, huh?
My dad.
Your dad's your favorite football player, too? Boy, you're on the right track. You're going to be a football player when you grow up?
Kids today who, like all young people, don't know who they are or what they want to be. That's why he's working with the NFL, the United Way, and the Boy Scouts. He's Willie Roaf of the New Orleans Saints. He has learned that each of us has the power to reduce crime in our community. He takes the responsibility very seriously, and he's proud that he can be that volunteer for them.
The NFL, the United Way, and you, the power of teamwork.
In the stands, and he wants to know, do you think Peyton Manning will be as good of a quarterback as his dad was? And that's from Matthew Weaver.
Well, I know Archie and our family, and they know each other and all that. So, Archie, you're going to hate me for this, but I think your son's going to be better than you are, and I'll tell you why. I think technically he's going to be better. I think he's got better tools. I think he's a better thrower. I think he's got that strong arm, and you said that yourself. And he's got that ability to put the ball on the money and all that kind of good stuff. Not that you couldn't do that, but I think he does that. And, also, too, they're playing in two different eras. And when Archie played, the rules as far as what you could do to the quarterback were different. Where the offensive linemen could line up are different. The game now is designed to let the quarterback throw the ball down the field. And I think when Archie was playing, it wasn't really like that. And you could really rough up a quarterback and get away with it. But that's taking nothing away from Archie because he was a great quarterback. I just think that Peyton is that much better.
Well, only time will bear that out.
This is Jim Mora, coach of this team for 10.5 years. A lot of other people talked about this game. And we took a moment out. I want you to take a moment to take a listen to Jim Mora and his comments before this game.
Emotionally, what kind of game is this for you? I mean, this has got to have special meanings.
No, not really.
None at all?
No. Just 1 of 16.
Just 1 of 16 game. Do you really believe that or not?
Well, I'm not going to buy a used car off that guy. I'll tell you that. I think you all heard me last year when we played the Bears, and I said it was just another game. It didn't matter. The game was going to be played on the field. It didn't work that way, gang. It's just unfortunately that sometimes your emotions get involved in it. Maybe Jim is a little better than me, but my emotions got very involved in the game last year with the Bears, and it's very hard not to do because I spent 11 years there. Jim spent 10 and a half here. I'm sure there'll be some, but if he can control it better than I did, God bless him, because I didn't do a good job of controlling mine.
Back Billy Joe Hobert. Let me introduce you to my star tack and my star tackle. Willie Roaf, 6'5", 300 pounds. My star tack fits easily into my pocket and gives me crystal clear reception. My star tackle, he lets me stay in the pocket so I can throw for great reception.
The Motorola StarTac 3000, only $49.
Thanks to Radiophone, you can have your own star tack. But there's only one, Willie Roaf, and you can't have him.
We're not going to have this.
No,